Here now, live in studio, a member of the House Appropriations Committee, Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke. Congressman, what a pleasure to see you.
Great to be with you.
What is happening and what the Wall Street Journal writes about is as these auto and home rates are soaring, the Democrats, Elizabeth, I call her Ewazzy, Elizabeth Warren, they will ignore the root problems like litigation and just underlying inflation, and they will do a political power grab and just make it all worse.
And let's look at what's at stake here. You know, the American dream of home ownership. And if you're locked in renting the rest of your life, then that American dream has been diminished. So first of all, why are we here? Well, when interest rates are high, why are interest rates? Overspending. And picking on American energy, of course, when American energy costs go high, you know, in the Trump administration, I came in, we were 8.3 million barrels a day, 2 short years, 12.5, gas was $2 a gallon. You know what happens when gas is $2 a gallon? The economy starts to move, building materials go down, and oh, by the way, we lowered emissions, so America can do it right. Housing now, you look at, well, you had this enormous problem with illegal immigration. Where are they staying? You know, President Trump called it out. You know, you have millions of people. Where are they staying? And that also affects the rent. So you have high inflation, you have high gas costs, you have high interest rates, you have diminishing future for actually buying a home. There's a lot of things we can do. Not all of them, as you pointed out, are from the government. A lot of it is private enterprise needs to step into the market.
But on the government side, if you look at inflation, which is, again, brought interest rates up, we're trying to deal with that through rates. And you mentioned oil and gas. One of the problems, though, we'll talk to Republicans and Republican economists all the time, and they'll go, yeah, Democrats are bad, but Republicans have, you know, a lot of this on their hands as well. They haven't done more, and they run on, you know, cutting spending and fighting spending. But where are they actually saying, you know what, we are going to reduce the budget, not, you know, manage this slow, massive morass of growth?
Yeah, the size and scope of our budget is out of control. I think there's a recognition of that. And you can bring it back in, but it takes leadership. And it takes hard leadership to make tough decisions. You know, you look at where we're spending our money and why and how much and the rate we're spending our money. That is fixable for a great nation. But it's not fixable under a Biden administration.
It has come through the House. I mean, the House has the power of the purse, right? I mean, the spending starts in your branch. And listen, I get it because I was there. You have a small majority, and it's hard to get anything done with a small majority. But the problem is, you guys do have a lot of power because you do have that control, and we're still spending more.
We are spending more, and we got to go through. I resort back to Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. No money should be removed from the Treasury unless by consequence of appropriations by law. And we only appropriate about 25% of the budget. So Congress needs to do their job and go back to appropriating the budget. And as you know, you were there are multiple programs that aren't even authorized, and we're appropriating. So step one, guys, let's authorize everything and let's send things through appropriation. And that's steer towards the right path, which is, look, we need to get our budget under control.
One thing you need to get under control, and we're going to go to Hillary Vaughn, and he agrees with me, and he can talk about it now because he's no longer in Congress. But the federal government, because we subsidize people who don't live in flood-prone areas, taxpayers subsidize people to live in flood-prone areas by cheap flood insurance. And Congress has never done a doggone thing about it. And so now they live in areas that flood. The homeowners' cost of home ownership is skyrocketing. They get to live on the coast, and we get to live in rental apartments.
And look at insurance across. So look, if you're a homeowner, if you're an automobile driver, look at the insurance. A lot of it's the cost of repair for an automobile, cost of repair for a dwelling. You're looking at labor costs alone through the roof. A lot of it's being driven by energy costs that should be about $2 a gallon.
And the right to repair, you guys are totally working on. I applaud you for that. But also that you control 25% of the budget. That's done by rule in the House. You guys could change the rules of the House and have complete control over the whole budget. But again, you need more votes than that. And I understand.
I'm a big advocate.
I know you are.
You know what? Let's go through the appropriation process and let's get it done. Look, it's tough work, right?
Stay right there. Congressman, we'll be right back to you. A bipartisan group of lawmakers are raising concerns over what they say amounts to price gouging in military contracts. Contracts that are now costing taxpayers billions every year in overpayments.
Our own Hillary Vaughn is on Capitol Hill with the latest. Hey, Hillary.
Good evening, Dagan and Sean. Well, a group of senators are targeting the Department of Defense for government waste, saying that government contractors are swindling American taxpayers out of billions of dollars just to pad their profits. Senators Chuck Grassley and Mike Braun, joined by Senators Elizabeth Warren and John Fetterman, demanding the DOD close the loopholes that contractors can exploit. The group writing a letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin calling out a practice called sweeping that contractors use to scam the system and get more cash, writing this, quote, instead of providing appropriate information prior to reaching an agreement, contractors have drowned DOD contracting officers in a deluge of documents and data immediately post-handshake, using this tactic to release themselves of liability and potentially hide data that might give the DOD a better price. This practice costs billions of dollars and allows contractors to collect excessive profits on the backs of the taxpayers. Price gouging at the DOD is so bad it tops the Government Accountability Office's high-risk list as programs vulnerable to waste, fraud, and abuse. And that can mean millions of cash wasted from just one scamming contractor. The DOD's Inspector General found that one defense contractor overcharged the military by at least $16 million. That same contractor overcharged the government on a different project by another $21 million, pricing items up to 3,850% more than the reasonable cost. The Project on Government Oversight says this is an issue that's been going on since the 1980s.
But what we're talking about here are taxpayer dollars. These are the dollars that get taken out of your paycheck, they get taken out of my paycheck. That's what's really being held ransom here by these tactics and price gouging and sweeping that we see contractors getting up to. This isn't pretend money, this is our money.
And watchdogs say that inflation has made overcharging even more egregious, saying that contractors will just hike prices just because, using inflation as an excuse. Dagan and Sean.
Hillary Vaughn, thank you so much.
Ryan Zinke, we're getting price gouged. You're a military guy. Listen, we want as much money for the fighting men and women to work on the field, but when we have these contractors gouging the American taxpayer, that means we have less to go into armaments and manpower to win wars.
Look, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Really?
When the Department of Defense can't pass an audit, all right, you look at it. We have 800,000 DOD employees in the Department of Defense. When you add in pension, you add payroll, and healthcare, you're talking about a $200 billion enterprise. The last time, defense has been reorganized, 1984. What's changed in the world since 1984, Ronald Reagan? Everything. And it's not just, defense, but across the board, we need to reorganize it, because throwing more money at it is not going to produce a better outcome. On defense, we face an enemy that changes technology now by quarter, and we're still in a 5-year PARM cycle. We got to get equipment out faster to the battlefield where it can be used effective, and that's going to take a massive reorganization of defense to look at the core priorities and where our nation's defense is. And you can't do it, when structurally where we are.
It's going to take also Americans might not be able to see every day the problems with the way the Defense Department is run. But I was bitching at somebody over the weekend. Just to get global entry renewed, to the quick pass through the immigration line when you fly back into the United States, you still have to wait a year and a half with all the money that we spend. Why? Because government, excuse my language, sucks. And nobody should get another dime until you right size. And that means firing people.
Well, I agree with you. Look, where we are today is, I haven't seen anything that's not fixable, first of all. So we take a deep breath, but we're going to have to change course and speed, because we're spending too much money. We're not delivering the security we have. We don't have a border. There's a lot of issues.
Can one president do it?
Yeah. You know what? I've been to a lot of battles in my life, and I got to tell you that not every commanding general has been George S. Patton. I'll let you in a secret. Generals don't win wars. It's the front line. Yeah. In the case of President Trump, it isn't going to be President Trump that saves America. It's going to be America stepping up, and all of us have a duty to do.
Ryan Zinke, Congressman, thank you so much. We need we need more Teddy Roosevelt Jr.'s, who with a cane was first on the beach at Utah. D-Day, Brigadier General.
Oh, you remember where President Trump or President Roosevelt was from? New York, right? We got another New Yorker in the pipeline.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Zinke,
There we go.
Congressman Ryan.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.